AMC stock today up a comfortable 14% after our very impressive CPI report showed inflation, especially month over month core CPI, declining at a much faster pace than people expected. This is leading a lot of people to go out and buy AMC, potentially some changing of positioning. Some hedge funds that were ultra bearish on a lot of high growth stocks, including AMC, are being forced to take off some of those bearish bets, if not to cover on some of their small positions. Now, last time this happened, and last time we got good earnings at the same time as better than expected CPI report, AMC stock went up over 100% to follow that, more precisely about 124%, and that was back here in August. So let's talk about kind of my expectations, what I expect to happen, obviously talk about what's happening today, the Ortex data, the probability for a 50 or 75 basis point rate hike coming at the next December meeting, literally everything you guys need to know about this potential rally and this move today will be discussed here in this video. So let's get straight into it. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section as well. If you guys want to come trade with me live in real time, link down below in the description of this video. But first things first, obviously, if you guys are just waking up or just looking at the markets, whatever you guys are doing, 4 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon, the day of CPI. Hopefully you were up when CPI went out and potentially made a play on that, because the NASDAQ is up almost 6%. The S&P is up well over 4%. The Dow is up over 2.5%. And the Russell 2000 is up over 5.5%. And the actual numbers here, get this. The inflation rate year over year for October came in at 7.7%, down from the consensus estimate of 8%. So that was a really big beat, down 0.5% from last month's reading of 8.2%. Core inflation rate year over year came in at 6.3%. The consensus was 6.5%. And the inflation rate month over month came in at 0.4%, consensus 0.6%. So a beat on all of those metrics, but this one is what has people really excited, and it's core inflation rate month over month. You're seeing a dramatic decrease in inflation month over month, with that number coming in at 0.3%. The forecast was for a 0.7% gain, and the previous month over month core inflation number was 0.6%. So you're cutting that in half. You beat the estimate by more than double, and that is what is fueling a lot of this rally when all things are said and done. Initial jobless claims as well came in about 7,000 more jobless claims than expected. So also a little bit of news of softening potentially happening here today in the labor market. So for good reasons, the markets are rallying. This has brought down the probability of a 75 basis point rate hike in December, now down to 9.8%, 90.2% chance of a 50 basis point rate hike in December. And some of the Fed speakers that we have heard from so far today, Fed Harker, Fed Logan, and Fed Mester, they've all basically said the same thing, that this is not a total victory on inflation, but it's a really good sign. And it's a good enough sign to step down to a 50 basis point rate hike in December and possibly a 25 basis point rate hike after that. So there is a lot of reasons here. Fundamentally, the picture is getting a little bit better on inflation. There's a good reason to be bullish here. Now, let's keep in mind these inflation numbers are far too high. Still, we're at 7.7% year over year inflation. That number is expected to drop off a lot once we start to get towards, call it May, June of 2023, because, numbers were high then. Looking back now, they're hopefully going to be a lot lower. And that's something the markets are looking forward to and are pretty bullish on. But the next couple of CPI readings still are probably going to be in that 7% year over year range. Hopefully the core inflation rate month over month continues to drop. If that happens coming on December 11th, that'll be the next CPI report right before the Fed meeting December 14th. If that's another bullish CPI, then you're definitely going a lot higher from here. But as far as right now, until we get some kind of bad news, until we get Papa Powell opening his gullet and really crushing this rally, it looks like this could be a more sustainable rally from here. Not quite sure if we'll get to August levels on the S&P, which were in that 430 range, but to definitely get back up here to the 200-day moving average and retest that at 405 looks to be the likely scenario here, potentially going higher than that. We'll see what happens. It would be a total change of trend to break out above the 200-day moving average, and that would be very, very bullish. It's possible, but there's going to be a lot of fighting around there. We're going to want to see more softening in the labor market, in my opinion, to get a big run above that. But like I said, this is very bullish. The S&P 500 up over $15 here today alone, over 4%. This is the single best day for really stocks in general in a very long time. Since 2020, you have not seen the NASDAQ up 6% in a single day. The Dow surging almost 1,000 points. So that is very good. Another thorn in the backs of the market is definitely the crypto billionaire Sam Bankman-Fried blames himself for FTX's collapse, and this guy was the guy really holding things together in crypto for a while now, so nobody seen this coming with FTX. And the problem is the potential contagion there. Who has loaned them money? Who's exposed to crypto? How much are they exposed for? That, I think, will continue to weigh on markets until it is all settled out. But even Bitcoin today up almost 10%, so that is also another very net positive event. Now, as far as AMC stock, like I said, AMC up about 14%. Last time we had a beat to CPI and good earnings, the stock rallied about 124%. So when you think about it like that, and we're only at a 14% gain here today, we still have a lot of potential rally to the upside to come, especially because we know next quarter earnings are going to be pretty good with a lot of your blockbuster films that are coming out in this current quarter that we are in. There's a lot of reasons to be excited about AMC, more so now on a fundamental basis, but also with the short squeeze kind of trade here, because we're still at well over a 20% short interest, and we know when short interest is that high, it doesn't take a lot of enthusiasm to really get a continued rally. Now, one day is not going to make or break anything. It's not going to, confirm really anything to most people. But if you are a part of this community and you have followed AMC, then you can really see how significant of an event today really is. And you can even see that demonstrated in the cost to borrow average and the cost to borrow max numbers. The cost to borrow max is sitting at 315%. Cost to borrow average is sitting at 112.75%. And these are not fluke numbers. I mean, yesterday's cost to borrow numbers, cost to borrow average was in the 50 to 75% range all day. And you did see a big spike with the cost to borrow average up to almost 300%. But it's really basing out over 100%. And people are actively taking out shares in the almost 40% cost to borrow range. So this is a big increase in a very short amount of time. And that also leads me to be very, very bullish on AMC, especially, like I said, when the fundamental picture is a lot different now. The stock's only at a $3 billion market cap, less than that, $2.5 billion market cap. It's not egregiously overvalued if AMC can actually start to make some profits, and that might come in the next quarter, and that's a big reason for shorts to get out of their short positions. Now, as far as the short interest of free float, it's sitting at 20.5%. The free float out on loan sitting at 36.27%. The days to cover at 5.64%. The cost to borrow at about 20%. That's the 3-month trailing average, and 100% share utilization. And if we take a look at the option activity for the day, you have 9 orders totaling $277.34 thousand. Positive order value of $74. 4%. So the options are also looking very, very bullish. And for tomorrow, you do have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey. We've talked about this many times. It will be very important because you're going to want to see inflation expectations coming down, hopefully even in the short term, and hopefully people are not expecting to, spend as much money for the holiday season. You want to see a lot of disinflationary sentiment coming through on the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey. If that happens, I do expect to see another positive day tomorrow, but it could be quite big if that survey is indicating some bullish things. Now, before we go ahead and wrap up this video, before we talk about the technicals and the chart on AMC and really go over what I expect to happen this time around with this rally, I want to look at this article. It says peak inflation in Europe, quote, is almost within reach, European Central Bank member says. Key points. Eurozone headline inflation hit a new historic high of 10.7% last month, according to preliminary data. But one ECB member believes that price growth could be about to come down. The Governing Council raised rates by 75 basis points both in September and October. Markets are expecting an increase of 0.5% for December. So more of that reaffirmation that potentially inflation hopefully goes down across the globe, and that's going to put a lot less pressure on these central banks and a lot less pressure on stocks in general. So I think that is a pretty cool thing to see. It actually came out today before the CPI report came out, so who knows if they knew CPI was going to come down or not for America. Either way, it's causing a lot of optimism. And now finally, looking at AMC's chart, the RSI is still oversold. It's still under 50. It's at 44. So right there is telling you, hey, we probably got a lot more room to rally to the upside from here before we get a lot of real resistance. The MACD still on the bearish side of things as well, trying to go a little bit more bullish. As far as the volume on the day, volume so far sitting at about 28 million. This is more, at 2 o'clock than we have seen in quite a long amount of time, and the last hour or so tends to have the most volume, so we could really get a big rally towards the end of the day today. That's kind of my expectation, but really in the grand scope of things, you're not even at the levels we were at just about a week ago, a week and a half ago. And considering we got this very bullish news, the next level to break out above and to get to is $7.24 per share. And that's the 50-day moving average, 100-day moving average at $8.75 per share, and the 200-day moving average at $9.33 per share. And like I said earlier in this video, when you break out above the 200-day moving average, that is really showing a change in sentiment. Like if the S&P 500 breaks out above the 200-day moving average, we have not seen that since March, and briefly in August, and obviously got rejected around there because people realized, hey, maybe this is not the end of inflation after all, and we had some very hawkish Fed comments around that time. But nonetheless, guys, if we can get up to those levels, it's going to be very, very good. And for AMC, that's kind of what I'm expecting, is to at least get to the 200-day moving average, at least get a 100% rally from here, just like we seen last time, potentially going even as high as $13 to $15 per share in between these lines right here. That's kind of my baseline of what I expect to happen, just simply due to the positivity of this inflation report and the fundamental picture being a lot different and better now for AMC stock. And there's a lot of shorts out on the markets just to get neutral, right? Just to say, hey, I have $100 billion of short positions. Just to get to $100 billion of long positions, you're going to need a lot of buying on the overall market. It's very much skewed to that downside put exposure. So a lot of people are talking about getting net neutral again with hedge funds because, hey, this was fundamentally positive. Well, that's going to cause a lot of buying pressure, guys. So that is going to be all for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. If you guys want to come trade with me live in real time, like I said in the beginning of this video, link down below in the description of this video. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.